Hello and welcome to the CDO magazine interview series. I'm Nazar Labunets with Ataccama, and today I have the pleasure of talking to Deval Motka, Chief Data Officer at Genesco. So data obviously is super important. Do you want to talk about these several use cases or like the importance of data and the challenges around it?
Let's talk about the challenges of data, right? So when
Mm-hmm.
we talk about from the lens of knowing the customer, there are all of these external companies that we work with, not the data companies, but really the marketing agencies, your social media spends, the Googles of the world, with the search engines. And there is a lot of restriction around how you can truly know what your customer is doing and how is the customer being influenced, right? So to give you an example, we won't know which of our existing or new customers saw our ad on Facebook. So now if we want to think about how that impacted overall a buying decision and what was that little impact of Facebook in that, we won't be able to very precisely tell that, but there are algorithms and such that we use to kind of attribute and do mixed media modeling using data to know what is the impact of a particular media channel on our customer. Now, not to mention the complexities for a brick and mortar company or a company that is both online and in the stores, which is for many, many, many retail businesses. Not everybody is the Zappos and Amazons of the world. Their problem or a challenge, I would say, is how do you attribute the investments you are making in the stores and all your offline channels to how people are getting marketed online? That is one of the bigger problems that everybody is trying to solve right now. There will always be precision and there will always be lack of accuracy in that information. So I think then it becomes important to understand what the business strategy is and what is your I would say the confidence that you are seeking in that information, what actions you want to take out of it. So again, that is just one example of where we are using data more thoroughly today than we would in the past. Again, because the marketing budgets are always limited and people want to do so much with so much. So it becomes really important how you drive decisions on the marketing side. And the same thing on the product side. I will say this for any company. I think the importance of the shelf space in your stores remains, right? So what do you put on the shelves versus what do you put online? And what is your thoughtful strategy there around broad allocation and then regional based allocation or more personalization based on your buying behavior? There is a lot of peeling of the layers at your product level that can also be done through data. I won't go into details of that, but there's a big role the data plays. But again, I will say this one thing is, as I'm talking all the things about data, and we'll talk about the cross functionality of this, is a data cannot by itself do any of this, because I think the actions and how traditionally the experiences have been matters the most. So I think there's a big aspect of collaboration across all parts of the company. That is the biggest opportunity for a data person, again, is to collaborate cross-functionally.
Awesome. So that's very interesting. So let's talk about the importance of collaboration between, core data people and, business people, line managers, product managers. So in your experience, is there a lot of disconnect between these two areas?
Yeah, see, if you say data is the glue, then the disconnect must have been there, which is why somebody coined that term, that data is the glue, so that the disconnect can be resolved.
Right.
In my opinion, I think it depends on what kind of support you have from your businesses, and how you operate and you show up is a big part of how much of that is a challenge versus opportunity. I have personally, I have felt more challenge when it is around the regulatory and such kind of businesses than when you are in more of the marketing or the product space. So I am enjoying my time in retail a lot, I can tell you, especially having very mindfully worked through various different industries, which I did it mindfully because I wanted to experience where data can be applied the best and the most. But I don't think that we have a huge challenge here in the space of retail. There is probably so much opportunity that the challenges probably just get hidden, I would say. But then there are lots of people who want to collaborate. You just have to operate with that incrementality in mind, right? You don't want to solve. I really believe in cross functionality isn't just about are all the people from all the divisions represented in a meeting or in a project or whatnot. All that is important, right? All that is important. But what is more important is how do you really drive that incremental value? And in order for you to drive incremental value, it is the data person's responsibility to come in and understand what is the value that is being currently driven and how do I add on to that. So just to give you an idea, right? Like the marketing has always been around. Digital marketing has been around also before data became the glue. Now you come in and you just suddenly can't just say, I'm going to change your entire world because I am here now. I don't think anybody would be successful saying that. So when you come in with a little bit low ego, you come in with this idea of, let me learn how you do it today. Explain to me how do we personalize today. And then we will take it to the next level where I will give you a little bit more than you already have. I think that incrementality in the use cases is what I like to operate with, then measure it and then make it better, make it a force multiplier, and then find other use cases. So I'm a big believer of incrementality and working in smaller parts and taking everybody for a bigger ride that way.
Yeah, same here. I fully agree. Yeah, incrementality, incremental, small steps can't boil the ocean or come and change everything. So what does the productive partnership look like between different functions as they are glued by data?
Okay, let me just assume a little bit of the partnership here. I think, and again, it depends on the type of the organization, but it also boils down to the strategy, right? So if people are told that this year the goal is sales from digital channels should be higher, right? Now that is the partnership where you could strike it through the lens of the goal, and then everybody has a role to play. You obviously need those commanders in chiefs, whoever they are. They could be the chief marketing officers, or they could be the chief digital officers, or the chief data officers, depending on where there will be the most amount of, I would say, work or change. Is who would basically command some of that. But again, the partnership should be revealed through the strategic elements and the goals each year. So I have seen organizations do what is typically called OKRs that are across the board, and then you can have key results that each department gets, so that then they can function independently on a daily basis, but also meet through the lens of their OKRs. Some companies like to do it more as projects. So they will say, we have a project for optimizing a certain aspect of our sales channels or something else, which then becomes more specific. So I think it depends on the nature of the business and the type of goals that people would have. The one thing I will say is, if you're operating without a goal and making anything a technical problem, that at least, and again, I'm a recovering technologist, so I have to remind this to myself many times, is not to make anything a technical problem these days. It does not work. But you still have to solve the technical problems along the way, right? So I think there is an art to that, of how do you create a project scope where you are going to drive the incrementality in the sales or the optimized versions of a process or whatever. But you will also have your own epics of how the underlying data is becoming better and more trusted through the lens of that goal. So just to give you an example here is if somebody has a goal to do more marketing that is automated, and let's say they are working on a certain marketing platform. Now you could have an implementation of a CDP that would support that marketing platform, but don't spin up a separate CDP project just because we all said we need to be customer centric. So I think if the goal then remains more automated marketing, more and more micro marketing, etc., that we would like to measure and adjust along a period of time, then it becomes important that you have a very trusted consumer data. And without having a CDP, you cannot do that. So now you have established this proper chain between what is a CDP implementation that directly drives your marketing. Because you could do CDP for several other things, right? You could use a CDP for sending notices on your orders and so many other things. But once you start putting things through the lens of a couple different use cases in the business, you can still do a technical project under the covers. And that is not to hide, but that is to remove any confusion that people would have in why we are spending the money on so much on technology,
Right. And then, technology can be reused for
100%.
multiple other business initiatives, right? Yeah, it's just you don't start with that.
In fact, I love that part. These days, I come across more of that, Nazar, than any time in the past. Is I find myself telling people, by the way, and when I start with by the way, it seems to have become a thing where people are now waiting to hear, what are you going to say, by the way, it solves? What else does it solve? And once you start creating this culture of, for me, it is by the way, once you automate your some of these data sets that are going to drive, let's say, marketing, you will also be able to look at it from the angle of your decrease in the in your supply chain processes, or optimized versions of analytics on your brand levels, because now you know your customers through this lens. So I think there is a lot of, by the way, that I experience personally. There's more than I have ever done through the lens of a technical project. And I truly, truly, truly enjoy that. And I would recommend anybody to think about what is your by the way, and how do you actually bring your business for a ride through one thing that you're doing.
Well, yeah, like as a leader with so much experience, also in technological solutions, you can come and say, hey, well, you have this problem and I have this great solution from my experience that will also let us in the future do X, Y, Z. So thank you, Deval, for joining me today. And please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.
Thank you.